Hello, this is Myra Elaine from the Buying Space Channel, and today I'm reading from the Torah. And I am in chapter 22. Give me just a moment. I need to remind everyone that my scripture readings are adult, and if you have any children in the room, you should remove them. Anytime anyone's reading from Leviticus in general, there's a lot of unaliving in Leviticus. There's a lot of smoting. People get smoten by God in Leviticus, and there is lots of talk about morality rules in Leviticus. And we're in a section where God is setting apart the Jews, the Israelites, from other nations. And he's requiring that they follow a higher moral code. And in this moral code, today we can glean understanding about the things that get you in trouble, that maybe you should avoid to have a long, prosperous life. So these rules do not have to be applied to our lives for salvation if you're a Christian. And I'm not sure how the Jewish community feels about these rules in modern day life. I'm sure there's varying opinions, just like there is in the Christian community, or the Muslim community has a different take on it. And well, they have different divisions in Islamic faith, or faith, should I say. And well, with Christianity, you've got the Old Covenant, which is the Old Testament, and the New Covenant, which is the New Testament. And you have Jesus Christ being the ultimate sacrifice, instead of all these animal sacrifices at a tabernacle or a temple. But even modern Jewish people don't do animal sacrifices in this day and age that I know of. It's a big world. You never know what's going on out there. But we're going to start reading in Leviticus chapter 22. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and his sons, that they keep themselves away from the holy things of the children of Israel. So now we're having the rules for the priesthood, which sorry about that. The nation itself has to be set above and holier than other nations, because it's a nation of priests, and that's what God intended. But here's the priesthood within that priesthood. So their rules are going to be above and beyond even what the rest of the nation is to do. That they profane not my holy name, which they hallow unto me. I am the Lord. Say unto them, in your generations, if they be any man of all your seed that approacheth upon the holy things, when the children of Israel hallow unto the Lord, having his uncleanness upon him, that he shall be cut off from my presence, and I am Lord. So there's all kinds of rules about how to stay clean and what causes you to be unclean. So if you go into the tabernacle, or later the temple, as a priest, and you've been around a dead body, or you've had sex with your wife while she's having her period, if in some way, I mean, there are all kinds of rules, in some way you're unclean when you go into the holy place or touch holy instruments of the tabernacle or temple, you're going to be basically excommunicated, cut off. And any man whosoever of the seed of Aaron that is a leper or hath a running issue shall not eat of the holy things until he is clean. And whoso toucheth anything that is unclean by the dead, or a man whose seed goeth from him, which is semen, or a man who toucheth any creeping thing, whereby he may be made unclean, or a man through whom he can be rendered unclean, through any kind of uncleanness which he hath. The person that toucheth any such shall be unclean until the evening, and shall not eat of the holy things, lest he hath bathed his flesh in water. So whenever you make a sacrifice to get rid of your uncleanliness, you also have to bathe. A lot of the rules, once you confess, or once you sacrifice, or once you're atoned, you still have to bathe, and you're not considered clean until the evening a lot of times. There are tons of rules that they have to follow. The person that toucheth anything shall be unclean until the evening, and shall not eat of the holy things. Now, I repeated the verse because I wanted to point out, when people take sacrifices to the temple, a lot of the sacrifices are consumed by the flame. The unclean parts are taken outside the camp. The ash is changed, and it has to be, depending upon the type of sacrifice, which we covered in early Leviticus, certain things had to be done. But there is a portion of certain sacrifices that the priesthood or the priestly families could eat. But if you're a Levite, if you're in Aaron's family, of the seed of Aaron, and you eat of the meat of the temple sacrifices, and you're unclean, you'll also be cut off. And when the sun hath set, he shall be clean, and afterwards he may eat the holy things, because it is his food. That which dieth itself, or is torn by beasts, shall not eat, to defile himself therein. I am the Lord. So, no roadkill. And they shall keep my charge, that they may not bear sin through it, and die therefore, if they profane it. I am the Lord who sanctify them. And no stranger shall eat of a holy thing. A sojourner of a priest or a hired servant shall not eat a holy thing. So you need to be a Levite to eat off the table of the seed of Aaron. But if a priest buy a person with his money, then may he eat of it, and these that are born into his house may eat of it, eat his bread. So if you're hired, or if there is a servant that has a child, they are born into the house of. Have you noticed that the Bible is really talking about, a lot of times, the house of Aaron, the house of David. Joseph, Jesus' stepfather, was in the house of David. So Jesus was born into the house of David, even though he was born in a manger, not a house. But socially and politically, he was in the house of David. And if the daughter of a priest shall be married unto a stranger, she may not eat of the offered part of things. So daughters, when they marry, they enter into the house of their husband. But the daughter of a priest, if she be a widow or divorced, and have no child, and is returned into her father's house as in her youth, may eat of her father's bread, but no stranger shall eat thereof. And if a man eat a holy thing through error, then shall he add the fifth part thereof unto it, and shall give unto the priest the holy thing. And they shall not profane the holy things of the children of Israel, which they offer unto the Lord, and load on themselves the iniquity of trespass when they eat their holy things, for I am the Lord who sanctify them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, so all of the things that are sacrificed, that are offered, the bread, the wine, all the different animals that are burnt upon the altar and, cooked. Some of it's burnt as an offering to the Lord. Some of it's cooked and offered to the Lord, but then the priests eat it. All of those things, they're considered holy. And these are the rules that say who should eat them and who should not. And the ones who do eat of the things of the temple or touch the holy things of the temple have to be clean, have to be sanctified, because these sacrifices are made to God, and they're meant for God or his holy servants in the priesthood and their families, and no one else. Just like when you go to church and you contribute a tithe. Now that tithe goes to God's work, but part of that tithe goes to the preacher or reverend or minister, whatever your denomination would call, or the brother that works in the office, or the bishop. Or if you have a higher hierarchy and you have cardinals and you have a pope, part of that offering you make, if you're Catholic, goes to the Vatican and goes to the Pope. Some goes to your local parish. So, but if you're in, say, an independent church, that goes to your pastor and your pastor's family. How would you feel if your pastor gave part of his salary to a stranger? Not a missionary, because you've got separate money that goes to missions, right? But goes to a complete stranger that's not doing any work for God. How would you feel about making that tithe? How would the people of Israel feel about making a sacrifice if one of the priest's daughters had a live-in boyfriend that wasn't even Jewish? I mean, that's the situations that God foresaw happening that he did not want happening. He wanted the priesthood, he wanted the nation to be above all other nations in their morality and in their holiness, and he wanted the priesthood of that holy nation to be even holier and righteous. I'm going to go ahead and stop here before I get into the next the Lord spoken to Moses section, and say that I'm getting close to Leviticus 23. I'm getting kind of excited because Leviticus 23 talks about the feasts and festivals, and I love to go into that, and the celebrating Passover to the minimum I can, and just all the other, Hanukkah was just joyful this year. I mean, we don't get to do it full up like, Jews do, but we do read scripture. Sometimes we have special foods. I don't really show, how we alter our diet, but during these Jewish celebrations. I mean, we look for purv and kosher foods, and we have to be gluten free. So the kosher foods are wonderful in that a lot of times the way they prepare things will be gluten free. There was another passage about not having animals slaughtered the same day as the child. In other words, if there is a calf that's grown up and you slaughter that adult cow or bull the same day you slaughter its parents, that's not kosher. So that goes back to agricultural times when you wouldn't want, and people were concerned about maintaining the herd. And just the vision of that in itself, that you would not want to take out the entire herd because you want to preserve and care for your animals. And they work for you in their future sacrifice material. I mean, if you're going to make a sacrifice at a temple, let's say, just think about what they were going through when they were selecting these animals, because the animals had to be without blemish. So they didn't want to sacrifice every animal out of that bloodline that was giving them animals without blemish, because they understood genetics. Joseph understood genetics. And I've read that passage in the past about how he and his father-in-law had disagreements and business arrangements. And because of Joseph understanding, Jacob understanding genetics, and God blessed him with the herd that he needed. So you've got to think about things, and when you read the Bible, on the perspective of the shepherd. Jesus Christ is our shepherd, and he selects us. He has chosen ones, and he would not let a whole family suffer. He would leave someone. But the priests had to be holier than thou. But then they weren't to act holier than thou. And they weren't to be condescending to other people. And that developed into the Pharisees and Sadducees. And I've talked about that numerous times. But I'm going to go ahead and stop here in verse 16. And I'll see you all next week. And then the following weeks after that, I'm going to get into Leviticus 23. And it's going to be a joyful time for me. I hope you all enjoy these scripture readings. And have a wonderful and blessed day.